This conference will now be recorded.
In the last session, we started building the planning model, right? And then we created public dimension. Remember, we created 3 public dimensions, one on
Yes.
entity, another on product, and the third one on GL account. Now let's make use of that public dimensions and create a transaction data model. Okay, so here, let me create a new folder. So here I go to the modeler section. So far, I created this public dimension tables, right? So here you remember, so we created this entity, so V33. Here you see, so like that, we created GL account underscore V33 like that. So see this. So I'm going to make use of this public dimensions to create my transaction data model. Okay. Here I go, create a new model. So you have an option, right, guys? So far, I created 2 models with start with the data. One is employee salary model with new model type, and employee travel model with start with data classic account based. So I'll start with an empty model. I'll start from now onwards. I'll use the option start with empty models because I'm going to maintain mass data. Okay. So I'm going for a classic account based model for the finance plan model. For HR headcount plan model, I'll make use of new model type. I'm creating 2 planning models. One, I'll go with new model and start with an empty model. One model I created as classic model and start with an empty model. Guys, because in a lot of organizations, this new model was a recent introduction and a lot of companies already built a lot of classic models. They didn't migrate them. So I need to touch base both the old versions and the new version. So if I go create only the new model types and suddenly went into an organization where you see classic objects, you feel it was not covered or something like that. So I'll be touch basing everything, the older versions and the new version. Okay. So I say start with an empty model, classic account model. Okay. In this case, you have only account dimension. You cannot have measures directly. In new model type, you can have measures directly. I'll show that. So by default, any model you create is a planning model, and this planning model have by default 2 dimensions, date and version dimension. Here you can keep on adding the existing dimensions, existing public dimensions, add them. So I go account dimension, and in that account dimensions, I add GL underscore account underscore V33. Add few more public dimensions. Like from organization, I have entity underscore V33, right? 33 is your batch number, nothing else. Add another existing dimension. So I can add generic now. So guys, so far we created three public dimensions: GL account, product, and entity. Let me check my source file, transaction data file. So here have entity. I do have an entity dimension here. Hmm. Then I got account dimension. Then we got product dimension is also there. But I don't have data for flow and audit dimensions. Time I have a date dimension created. Version also I have a dimension created. Right, I have time, date dimension, version dimension. But for flow and audit, I don't have any data. In this case, guys, not all dimensions are mass data. Please try to remember that not all dimensions are public dimension. Okay. So I can say in that case, I can say let directly add a dimension in the data model. Okay, if not central mass data like product or vendor, so you no need to maintain it as a public dimension and load the data separate. In this case, I create a new dimension in the data model itself, that is flow. I create it as a generic dimension. I cannot create organization and account dimensions. The reason is one data model can have only one organization dimension, one account dimension. That's it. Okay. One data model can have only one organization, one version, and one account dimension. You can have multiple generic and multiple date dimensions, but you cannot have multiple account dimensions, multiple organization dimensions, and multiple version dimensions. So I created this flow as a new generic dimension. Add another dimension now. That is audit. This also I created as a generic dimension. So I created two dimensions. One is flow, another is audit. So I have all my dimensions created required. So here you see, I created flow, audit. For time, I have a date dimension here. Okay, and for version, I have a version dimension created by default. Guys, if you observe carefully, there are 7 types of dimensions we can create in SAP Analytics. I written some. Maybe when I'm creating an employee travel model, I written. So here you see 6 types of dimensions we can have in a SAP Analytics Cloud. So in this model, I used 5 types. I used version, I used account, I used date, I used generic, and I used organization. Only type of dimension I didn't use is timestamp. Timestamp is nothing but date plus time. We got date plus time, we can make use of a timestamp. But in my case, I don't have any timestamp column, so I'm not using timestamp dimensions. Apart from that, I have 3 generic dimensions. I used entity as an organization dimension. I have date. So for plan, I told you right, in planning models, you see version dimension also, you've seen that now. And in finance models, you see account dimension getting created. I created the GL account public dimension used it. Okay, so I used all the types of dimensions model. Okay, so let me save this up. So I create this as financial plan P&L model. It's just a moment, just a moment, please. So I have these dimensions getting created. So, and guys, I have the data for, so I also need to first set my range of my date dimension. Okay. Here you see, I have the data for 2022 and 2023, and I'm gonna plan for 2024 and 2025. So I'll pick my date range as financial year 2022 till 2025. If you see my date range, 2024 to 2025, I'll increase this to 2022. Okay. So I'm setting my date range from 2022 till 2025. Date granularity is month. If you want to go at day level, also you can go. And default hierarchy, I go it as year, quarter, and month. Okay. Let's say refresh. So you see your date dimension will have all these attributes like what's your calendar month, what's your normal month, date. It will take the first date of that month. Day is one, month, day, and year, month and day, calendar week. Means you can connect any attribute, guys. Means when you, for suppose when you're joining, okay, through dates, you can join any of whatever way the user wants to see, you can pick that. Let's just save this up. Mostly in financial planning, we make use of calendar month. So I created this plan model. Now let's load some data into this model. Okay. So these are public dimensions, guys. This symbol represents it's a public dimension. The symbol represents this is a public dimension. So now let's go to the data management part. Let's load some data into this public dimension. So here there is an option like, let's say, draft a source, import data. You can import data from a file or from a source. Have data coming from, for suppose, S4HANA system, right? We pick the option as data source. Choose your source as S4HANA. Check your connection, import connection, and load data from the table. Here you choose the connection. I don't have a connection. Once you choose the connection, you can choose your table. Majorly the table is AC doc A, accounting document actuals. That is the table from which we extract the data. Okay. But as of now, my S4HANA systems don't have a proper data, so I'm just going with from file. Okay. The only difference between import data from file and data source is in data source, if I import data from data source, I can keep on scheduling the job and get the new data. But from file, I cannot do that. So that's the reason in most of the cases, I load my data into Google Sheets and load data from Google Sheet, because if I add any new data into that sheet, it can be automatic like that. Some issue I'm facing with Google Sheets, I'll fix it up. Okay. Once I fix, I'll change the source from file to data source. Okay. So let me import data from file as of now. Select my source file. File is financial plan V2. So you have multiple sheets. From what sheet you want to load data? I don't want to load data from account. So these are normal data. Normal. So I'll take data from transaction sheet one. Sheet is transaction. Fine. Let's say use first row columns as headers. Let's say import the data. So here now you see there is some mapping happened. So on the left hand side, you see all the columns of your source table. On the right hand side, you see all the dimensions of your data model. So entity column has been mapped to entity dimension. Fine. If you want to map description attribute, you can map it itself. Fine. Whether you map the attributes, you don't map the attributes for a public dimension, that doesn't matter. Because in public dimension itself, we maintain everything. So it doesn't matter whether you map or don't map, no issue. Okay. Now say account has been mapped to jail account. You want to map description, you map description. No worries. If you don't map also, not a problem for public dimension. Product has been mapped to product. Fine. I didn't map description. That's flow. To double click on any dimension, it will open. Flow column has been mapped to flow dimension, flow description as to description attribute. Guys, if it is a non-public dimension, you need to map descriptions also. Okay. Flow, I see mapping. Double click. If I go to audit, double click on audit. Audit column has been mapped to dimension audit. Audit description column mapped to description. There is no mass data maintained in flow and audit, guys. So the data will be loaded from your source table only. Now you have a time dimension. I'll map this time dimension to date. I map this time column to date dimension. So here you see it was mapped to date dimension. Format is YYYYMM, year and month. That's your date format. Okay. Then version column has been mapped to version dimension. But guys, even your version column is mapped to version dimension. Click on your version dimension. Okay, if I click on my version dimension, you'll see the version dimension properties. It's saying no versions detected. Though the column is mapped, there is no version detected. You have to pick the option map versions. Okay. You have two distinct values in the version column. One is actual, second one is budget. Okay, so you have different version categories in planning, guys, like actuals, planning, budget, forecast, and rolling forecast. You got 5 types of versions in planning. Okay, so you got 5 types of versions in planning. One is actual, means it contains your real transaction data. Second one is forecast. Third is rolling forecast. I'll cover rolling forecast also. Fourth is budget. Fifth is planning. I'll be making use of all 5 types of versions, guys. Forecast and budget versions you see in finance. Actual forecast and budget versions you see in finance. Apart from finance, when you do HR or others, you'll see planning versions. You don't see forecast or budget versions. You see plan versions. So I'm mapping actual to actuals category. The version is actual, and I'm mapping budget to budget category. So guys, here the name and category both are matching up, but sometimes I'll see if a version called REV forecast 2024, something like that. It will be mapped to forecast category. Its version name is revised forecast 2024, but category is forecast category. Okay. Version category. Say okay. It automatically mapped. So versions are successfully mapped now. Okay. Now you have value column. Value column map it to the measure. Map your value column to the measure. So we successfully mapped all dimensions, all measures. Attributes, few attributes were not mapped. That's okay. Not an issue. Okay. It's never a problem. Okay. Let's say validate your data once. Especially it's not mandatory to map attributes for public dimensions. No issues found. So let's say finish mapping. So it will load data into your transaction data model. You see all 19,662 rows were imported into your data. Fair amount of data is 20,000 records. It's a good amount of data. So now you see earlier it was drafted as a source. Now it was imported. Guys, the only difference between file and your source tape system is here you have an option of schedules. Guys, you can maintain your schedule. You want this data to be loaded every month. Okay, generally, guys, what happens is once your plan model is created, you keep on getting the actual data. Means there'll be month end closures. Okay, there'll be month end closures. Okay, and after closure of each and every month, we will load the actuals, the P&L. Generally, once your month end closure is completed, your P&L statement will be updated for that month. Okay, your profit and loss statement will be updated. Means profit and loss data will be updated for that month, and that data will be loaded into your planning system. Okay, using that we maintain a rolling forecast. Means every month you load a new data. We'll means for suppose every organization have some certain rules. Some companies maintain 1 year for forward forecast at any given point of time, or 2 years forward forecast at any given point of time. Means every time you load new data, okay, means for suppose I loaded month of April data. Okay, so company has to maintain 12 months forward forecast. Okay, so far we are maintaining forecast till March 2025. We will forecast for April 2025 also. Okay, so generally after your month end closure is completed, okay, your finance month end closure, not in planning, that we don't do anything in month end closures. One point to be noted, we never do anything in month end closures. It will be the finance team who does the closing. That happens in your backend systems, S4HANA or ECC. So once your month end closure is completed, the company will update the finance profit and loss statement for that month, the revenue generated in that month, the cost happened in that month, everything. Okay, and that data should be loaded into your planning system. So means each and every month we load the data into the system. We don't load on a daily basis or weekly basis, guys. To the planning systems, we never load on daily or weekly basis. It will be once in a month load. Okay, so we'll update the data each and every month. Okay, if your source is a system, guys, we can have a schedule saying that okay, on 10th of every month let's load the data. Let's load the data on 10th of each and every month. We can maintain our own schedules here. Okay, we can maintain the schedules if your source is a system. That's okay, don't worry. I'll convert this into a Google sheet and I'll maintain the schedule settings and I'll load new data also. Okay, there was some issue. Once that gets fixed, I'll load the data. Okay, so here I go back to the model structure. So now your plan model is ready, successfully created. Okay, check your data. So this is anyway a public dimension. You'll see public dimension data only.
Satya, one question here. Like in account dimension, we have maintained many measures, right? So here you have mapped only one measure. So for which one it is mapped like that?
See, this value will be mapped to your account dimension. Here you see. So this account data for this date for this product is full. See, when you have account dimension, you have only one measure. That is value. Guys, when you see the finance, you see only two measures. One is amount in local currency, amount in group currency. You see only two measures. Have you any time observed this? Heard this anytime? Amount in group currency or amount in local currency? Anyone?
Yeah, observed. Local currency and foreign currency, both we can observe.
Yeah, company
Not
currency
foreign
something.
currency, group currency. Company currency or group currency is what we call. That means you see only two amounts, guys. Okay, for suppose your company is a multinational company, if it is operating in multiple current countries, you have amount in locals. Okay, group currency means if they will do some currency conversion and get you all the values in one single currency. That's the parent currency. Group currency is what we call, or company code currency, whatever it is. That's it. You see only amount. That amount, what does the amount refers to the account. Okay, this account is nothing but unit sold. Unit sold in January 2022 for this product PRD 0001 in region 0001 is 12. Here it is amount, so it is written as value, is amount. Okay, clear?
Yes, such a clear, but only thing my concern, like we have seen many measures in account dimension we are creating, right? So
Hmm.
I don't understand
They
like
are not
where we are
measures, they are accounts. They are accounts. If you go to the account dimension,
okay.
you see an account ID and a description. Description is a measure. This
Yes,
DRV
sir. Yeah.
0010. Understood? This is sales. Sorry.
Okay.
So these
Sales.
are
Yeah.
accounts, not measures.
Okay. 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 Now I got it. Yeah.
You see the account dimension. These all are the data members in the account dimension. In finance, I'm saying that many times. We don't see measures, we see accounts there. Okay, I think DRV 0010 is sales. The derived sales is this. CH111100. This is also sales, I think. Sales for this product in this region for January 2022. When a version is actual version is this. You can change this to budget also. You see the budget version data now. So I have the data successfully loaded. Amount of data preview. So in the version dimension, now you see, you'll see two versions, two data members in the version dimension, actual and budget. So in the GL account, you see all accounts, date dimension, you also. Fine. So I successfully loaded and created my own public dimension data model. So once your data model is ready, guys, okay, so let's maintain your accounting. Okay, so we need to maintain our, in the account dimension, we need to maintain our account dimension. Let's check your accounting hierarchy once. Your finance node, under finance node, we have everything, that's fine. Accounting hierarchy is good. You want to write any formulas, I'll write a lot of formulas going forward. Account type is there, calculated on. Then you maintain the aggregation types. Let's maintain the aggregation types. So I know the aggregation types, guys. If you want to go through the aggregation types, here I given the aggregation type, what aggregation type you should do to different accounts. Okay. So I just maintain for drivers, I just go none. For sales calls. Sales I go summation. Allocation driver none. Day planning. Summation. Units sold summation. Sold price summation. Total price summation. Revenue is some. Cross sales is some. Revenue if you're specific depends on calculated cross sales sum. Full-time employees I just go sum. Sales previous year is summation. FT movements. FT year to date. I don't go summation on this thing. FT actual. Opening initial is summation. Addition summation. Reduction summation. Finance node is a root node. I should not see any data. I go none. If I go no none, you don't see. Then you have operating income. From here it is all summation. All are summation.
Satya,
Do you
can we
perform any
shuffle the nodes after the loading the data as well?
what nodes you mean to say?
Hierarchy nodes. Yesterday you just adjusted some nodes, right? Like
See,
changing the
generally
hierarchy
we
nodes.
should not adjust the hierarchy. Hierarchy comes from your back system.
Okay.
Hierarchy is maintained from the company, from the finance team. Okay, we don't
Okay.
have general in provision to adjust that. There was small issue in the data. That's my data, so I adjusted. But in general, you don't get an option with. I maintained aggregation type for accounts. Healing also I have decimal places. I have currency. I have everything. Fine. Let's save this model. I maintain aggregation type for my account dimensions. Account dimension is fine. Version is fine. Date I have fine. Product entity everything fine. Okay. So guys, now let's do some kind of a currency conversion. Let's apply some currency conversion on the data. If you observe here, see guys, this company is basically an American company. This is proper organization data. This is a proper company data. I didn't give you some random data. So this is basically an American company running in United States and as well as overseas. In overseas, it's basically operating in Asia Pacific, basically China. It is operating in China. That's why the currency is CNY, Chinese yuan. And it is also operating in Europe, where it's mostly operating in Germany, I think, the way the currencies go. Okay. So it is operating in United States as well as outside United States. So here the currency is CNY and euros. So that means, okay, so any number you see in the region 006, it is in euros. It is 003, it is in CNY. I'll show you it up. Okay. So here, let me build a story on top of this model. Okay, I'll build a story now. Start with canvas. Guys, from now onwards, I'll be building a lot of optimized design experience stories. Okay. I added something for the page. Okay, so guys, what is this optimized design story? I'll cover it in the next session. So let me just go first. Same options, guys. 80-90% the options are same, but look and feel of optimized design experience different from classic. You'll experience both, guys. Okay, because a lot of companies already built a lot of classic design stories, but now from now onwards, if we are building anything, so we'll be building majorly on optimized. Okay, added model to the story successfully. Let's insert a table. Okay, I take operating income. I go to the account. Instead of finance, I take operating income. My operating income in actual version, again, both actual and budget version. You can add your date dimension also. So actual and budget versions 2022 and 2023. You see the account is operating income. Here in the rows, let me identity. Here I go pick enterprise. As Asia Pacific, Europe, Middle East, and United States. Okay. Just, you can show some currency, guys. Set my property currency also here. Show the currency also. Why USD is not showing? Okay, in this case, I'll just go the entity. I'll add one more column, that is currency. So now you see, guys, this value is shown in currency. Asia Pacific, this 140 million is in CNY, Europe Middle East is 40 million is in euros, and this 340 million is in US. Okay, you see the currency now. Data is in different currency. You see, the data is in different currencies. Yeah. So if data is present in multiple currencies, guys, so I cannot really add things up. Cannot really add the things up, right? So I need to get all the data into one currency. Okay. So then do all the planning, because company never do planning in multiple currencies. Okay. So the company always do the planning in currency. Okay. And it will be always their parent company planning currency. For this organization, the parent currency. So now my agenda is to apply currency conversion to convert all these values first, and then get the overall numbers in USD and start planning in USD. Okay. So means now, as of now, I have amount, all my amounts are in local currencies. I'm gonna now apply currency conversion and create another amount, that is value, which is in group currency, that is US. Okay. So how do we apply currency conversion? How do we apply currency conversions? See, in some organizations, guys, you will get the local currency and group currency, means the converted currency from the source system itself. In especially when you deal with S4 HANA, you get both the currencies. You get both the group currency and local currency from the S4 itself. So no problem. So you no need to apply currency conversion in SAC. But in few cases, if the values are non-converted, if the values are not converted, okay, and before we start with the planning, we need to get them converted into single currency, guys. Okay. So we need to apply virtual currency conversion in SAC. Virtual in the sense, it's not real currency conversion, guys. We just set up a virtual currency conversion so that we see the overall numbers in one currency. Okay. How do we do that currency conversion is, first we should maintain the exchange rate tables. You should have exchange rate, right? So how do we apply currency conversion? It's a two-step process. First step, maintain exchange rate tables or maintain currency tables. Okay. Second step, apply currency conversion under model preferences. First step is maintain currency tables or exchange rate table, and then use that exchange rate table data to apply currency conversion at the data model. Okay. So I already have an exchange rate table, guys. Can I use that? Uh, can we use the exchange rate table? Or you want me to create? Okay. So this one. So here I go. I'm discarding the story. I don't want this. Let's say go to the modeler section here. Got this. Here you see an option called currency conversion. So far I created data models, public dimensions, point of interest also we created. You see one more option called currency conversion. As you can get an exchange rate table from PPC system, that's one way, or you can create your own exchange rate table here. I think I have an exchange rate table. Okay, you see I got an exchange rate table. This is my exchange rate table. So okay, let me create for you. So let me create an you have an exchange rate table. You can get the exchange rates from BPC system if you have a BPC in place. If you don't have a BPC in place, create a manual exchange rate table. Create it manually. So I'll go create a currency conversion table. Create it as finance underscore. Okay. I save this exchange rate table. And let's load your exchange rates here. So what's your source currency, target currency, and exchange. Here in the same file, in the V2 file itself, you see currency and exchange rates. Here I maintained it very clearly. Source currency, target currency, valid from, date range, exchange rate, category and version I didn't maintain, and rate type. So I'll use this up. So I'm simply using the exchange rates I have. You can also write it manually. Storage. Let me see. Why it's not getting. I need to manually maintain this. So guys, we have the currency conversion. So here you see source currency, it is Australian dollar, target currency is Canadian dollar, validity from is valid on the state, and the exchange rate is this. Average rate type is average, means it will take the average rate type for that day. Average or closing, you can pick anything. We generally take average rate types. Average exchange rates, not the closing exchange. No company takes closing, it always takes the average because transaction can happen anytime, right? So it always take the average exchange rate. Okay. So generally you see the source currency and target currency and validate. So generally what happens is in SAC table, we don't have valid 2. Okay. Why we don't have valid 2 is for suppose I maintain the exchange rate today and again I'm updating the exchange rate, means we are updating exchange rates on 1st of every month. So for suppose on May 1st we updated, and again we are going to update on June 1st. Okay. So we updated on May 1st. So till the next exchange rate is being updated. So the same exchange rate will continue. Means from May 1st, May 2nd, May till you update the next exchange rate, that is June 1st, the same exchange rate will be applicable for the entire month. Suppose you forgot to update for June 1st, the same exchange rate will continue for June also. Okay. Means there is only valid from, there is no valid to until you maintain the exchange rate for the next period, next time. So the same exchange rate will continue. If you forgot to maintain exchange rate for 6 months, the exchange rate will continue for the next 6 months. Okay. So we updated exchange rate on 1st of January 2021, 1st of January 2022, 1st of January 2023. Means this exchange rate is applicable for all the dates in 2021. This is applicable for all the dates in 2022, and this is applicable for all the dates in 2023. As we didn't maintain for 2024, for 2024 also same exchange rate will continue until you maintain the next exchange rate. The same exchange rate will continue. Okay, that is how your exchange rates work. And we don't update the exchange rates on a daily basis, guys. It's like once in a month or something like that. Okay, sometimes we don't do it, we do it once in a year also. Okay, right. I maintain the exchange rate table. We am out of time. I stop here for today. In the next session, I'll create currency conversion in the model preferences. Okay, I'll continue with exchange rate table. I'll create currency conversion, and then I'll also start working on real planning. We'll start with real planning tomorrow. Okay, stop here. Thank you all. Have a great day. Thank you.